in yesterday's protests across the country. As a parent, I feel the deep pain of their loss. No parent should have to bury their child, especially in such circumstances. I cry for our children. I am unable to bear the pain. My children, Kevin and Keith, are of the same generation Z. I want to put myself in the shoes of parents who have lost their young children and appreciate the pain, the anguish, the torment. Innocent young children whose only crime was to air their views in a democratic country. My heartfelt condolences, that of my wife, Pastor Dorcas, my son, Kevin and Keith, to the grieving families. May the Lord give them fortitude, the grace, the strength to bear the pain. We wish quick recovery to those who are injured and those who are admitted in hospital. The loss and destruction of public and private property during the demonstrations is deeply unfortunate. I empathize with the members of Parliament for the traumatic experience in and out of Parliament. I want to urge our young people that they don't have to destroy property to be heard. I want them to know that members of Parliament are free to exercise their voting right. And should anyone have a problem with a member of Parliament for a certain decision that he or she has made, you'll have an opportunity in the next general election to express your displeasure. Most of those offices that have been touched are public offices put up with the public funds. It's very, very unfortunate. The violence witnessed across the country was unnecessary and uncalled for because violence begets violence. It is unfortunate that it had to get to this. Dialogue is critical to avert similar occurrences in the future. It is now time for restraint and reflection to avoid recurrence of these unfortunate and unprecedented events. The decision by our President this evening to withdraw the finance bill after listening to the people of Kenya is the new beginning that should nurture the culture of consultation and engagement. The President, in his own admission, has listened to the people and admitted there was a problem that the people were opposed to the bill in its entirety. It is also the beginning of acknowledging that there is a disconnect between the people and their government. I really want to thank the President for listening to the people as he should be. The President, myself, and elected leaders are servants of the people. Going forward, this should be the norm, listening to the people. I'm on record for the last 3 months of asking leaders to listen to the ground. And I'm happy that my boss, my President, has listened to the people of Kenya. As a truthful and honest man, I must acknowledge that we must engage Generation Z and other young people and all Kenyans, including the church, business community, on critical issues facing them. It seems that either we have not listened enough or we have not communicated our intentions effectively, yet many have voiced their concerns. I would like to take this opportunity to ask our leaders to stop the culture of castigating the people with different views and opinions. It is time for leaders to tone down and stop the habit of talking down to the people. And this brings me to the critical issue why I've got this press conference. As Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, I and President William Ruto were on the ballot and were given a mandate by the people of Kenya directly. I am an elected Deputy President, I'm not appointed. I therefore have a responsibility to the people of Kenya, and that responsibility is informed by my belief that honesty and truth are critical components of leadership. We have lost lives, property destroyed, anarchy, fear, uncertainty. How did we get here? How did we get here? We were just elected the other day as a very popular government. Where did the rain begin to beat us? Where did we stop listening to the people? President William Ruto and I were the darling of the Kenyan people by listening to them, by engaging them. And as a government, we have established institutions to ensure we not only listen to Kenyans, but also genuinely understand their concerns. We invest significant resources in these institutions, particularly the National Intelligence Service, for this purpose. It is clear there has been a failure in the intelligence and advice we are receiving, particularly concerning crucial government policies. The President of the Republic of Kenya today has admitted that it has come to his attention that the people of Kenya did not want anything to do with the Finance Bill 2024. The President has now agreed that we need to listen to the people. And I sympathize with my boss, President William Ruto, because this information was not available to him. I know President William Ruto. Had he known 2 months ago that the people of Kenya did not want anything to do with the Finance Bill 2024, he would not have asked his parliamentary party to push it through. Yet, we have an organization paid by the public to give him and government such information. And that is where the problem is. We have a dysfunctional National Intelligence Service that has exposed the president, the government, and the people of Kenya. Had the National Intelligence Service briefed the president 2 months ago about how the people of Kenya feel about the Finance Bill 2024, so many Kenyans would not have died. Property would not have been destroyed. Offices would not have been touched. There would have been no mayhem. But they slept on the job. It had to take people to die, property to be destroyed, protests across the country for the president to know the truth of what the people of Kenya feel. Yet, there is an organization paid for by the public to brief the president and the government about the feeling of the Kenyan people. Officers of the National Intelligence Service, officers of the National Police Service have told me in confidence they did not get advance intelligence briefs about the magnitude of the protest in Eldoret, in Kericho, in Nairobi, in Githurai, in Embu, in Nyeri. Since independence, there has been protests around Parliament. Never have protesters invaded and gotten inside Parliament. Senior officers have told me in confidence they did not have an advance intelligence brief about the intensity of the protest so that they prepare in advance. The National Intelligence Service slept on the job. And the problem is simple. The Director General of the National Intelligence Service, Nuruddin Haji, was a junior officer in the National Intelligence Service before he was appointed as DPP. When he was appointed to the office of the Director General, because of inferiority complex, he chased away all the people who were senior to him when he was in the service, therefore crippling the capacity of that service and making it dysfunctional. 3 directors were chased away and reassigned to desk jobs in ministries across government. 13 assistant directors, men and women with proven track record of intelligence collection and analysis, were removed from the National Intelligence Service, leaving a shell under a clueless Director General who has no capacity to run the organization. And that is why the security sector was caught off guard by the intensity, the anger of the Kenyan people, the agitation of the Kenyan people, the resilience of the Kenyan people. Had Nurdin Haji done his job, we will not be where we are today. He has no capacity. He is out of the country most of the time on business trips. The country is on its own. My boss, President William Ruto, is exposed that he has to back down and admit that he has hurt the people of Kenya. Yet this matter has been in public domain for the last 2 months. I want to say that Nurdin Haji must take responsibility for the deaths that occurred. He must take responsibility for the mayhem. He must take responsibility for failing President William Ruto. He must take responsibility for failing the government of the Republic of Kenya. He must take responsibility for failing the Kenyan nation by not doing his job and advising correctly. And he must do the honorable thing, not just take responsibility, but resign from that office and allow the president to pick a competent director general. I want to request President William Ruto to consider, as a matter of urgency, to recall the 3 directors who are removed from the service and the 13 assistant directors to come and help reconstruct the service and get sanity back to the National Intelligence Service to serve the president, the government, and the people of Kenya. President William Ruto deserves better. He deserves a director general who knows what he's doing. He deserves a National Intelligence Service that is effective and that can analyze situations and keep him and the government informed on what is going on. It is embarrassing to me as Deputy President that it has taken protests, deaths, mayhem, destruction for the president to know the truth. Yet there is an organization charged with that responsibility. I have publicly stated that under this administration, Kenyans are free to criticize the government without fear of reprisal and state agencies. This was a promise made by both the president and I when we were sworn in. I want to call upon overzealous heads of security agencies not to be tempted to use the criminal justice system to manage politics. Let us manage politics the conventional way, through reaching out, consensus, and concurrence. I am informed that members of parliament who voted no have already been targeted by the National Intelligence Service for harassment for their political stand. This is a promise the president and I gave to the people of Kenya, that never again shall we use the criminal justice system to manage politics. I want to say that the president and I gave a categorical promise to the people of Kenya that the issue of abductions and extrajudicial killings will never happen again. Sadly, this is back. It is unbelievable that the son of the Honorable Attorney General of Kenya, Justin Bidan Muturi, was abducted at night in a commando style by officers of the National Intelligence Service and held incommunicado for 18 hours. Yet, that is the Honorable Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya. What will happen to other Kenyans? I want to ask our law enforcement agencies to dignify the president and I before the people of Kenya and not backtrack on the promises we made to the people of Kenya, that we shall never again use the criminal justice system to manage politics. Yesterday, Nurdin Haji was trying to put up a team together to craft lies and propaganda and attribute the chaos that were in the country to leaders, I included, former President Uhuru Kenyatta and others. Yet it is very clear, and the president has admitted, that these protests were caused by the anger of the people of Kenya and their refusal of Finance Bill 2024. I want to call on the National Intelligence Service not to take us back to the dark old days of the Nyayo era, where you create propaganda and schemes to undermine leaders and those you don't agree with. I want to say in conclusion, this is a time for reflection and action. And we need to take immediate steps, as the president has guided, and I'm very happy, to engage the Generation Z. And I want to call that generation to tell us whom to engage, because they are leaderless, they are tribeless, they have no organizational structure, but we like to engage the right people. there could be a temptation among some young people around us in government to pick some friends of theirs and attempt to bring them for discussion. So I want to challenge our young people and salute them for their courage and conviction and the love for their motherland to come up with a structure on how they can engage government in accordance with what President William Ruto has guided this afternoon. In view of the very wise decision by the President, in conformity with the wishes of the Kenyan people, to withdraw Finance Bill 2024 that was in contention, as Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya and a patriotic son of this country, I want to appeal to Generation Z to call off the protests for tomorrow, because their cry has been heard by the President. The President has accepted that there was an issue, there was a disconnect, and the President has done the right thing. And I think it's only fair that we call off the protest so that we don't have further loss of lives and destruction of property. It's an appeal that I've made as a father, as a parent, to our young children. We love you, we respect you. Please, I beseech you as your father, now that the President has given in and accepted to go with the wishes of the Kenyan people, please, my sons and daughters, I plead with you to save lives, to save bloodshed, to save loss of property and lives. My sons, my daughters, please make an announcement this evening and call off the protest. And then we can begin the process of truthful engagement with the Kenyan people. We can begin an honest conversation on how to work on our country. Finally, I want to ask the President and our government to consider a plan on how to help those families that lost their livelihoods as a result of lack of proper advice by the National Intelligence Service. All these things happened because of government failure. It should never happen. Let us see how to compensate those families, those who are dead. We help those who are in hospital with bills, and we help to bury them. Again, I want to ask Kenyans not to punish members of parliament for the stand that they took. A government is formed by a political party. Once a government has a program in parliament and decides it is good for the people, members of parliament from that party must toe the line. I don't want you to punish our members of parliament. They just did what is right in terms of our political formation. Allow them to be. Allow them to support their government, because that's why they were elected as members of the government party. Let us not harass them. Let us not abuse them. Let us not attack their properties. They were just doing what the government wanted. And now that the government has decided to do the right thing, I think we should close that chapter. And if you have a problem with your member of parliament over this matter or any other matter, you will have an opportunity at the right time to punish that member of parliament or affirm he or her by re-electing him or her. And if we do that, it will be good for this country. Finally, I also want to ask the President to consider the issues of the demolitions of houses along Nairobi River, houses that had approved building plans, built on land with title deed, were demolished, and only a compensation of 10,000 was given, which is unacceptable and unfair. Let us consider any landowner who had a genuine title, who had constructed a house that had been approved by the city authorities for compensation, because it's good to be fair. I really want to thank you and ask the people of Kenya to keep peace and to love one another. Now that this matter of Finance Bill 2024 has been settled, let us all go back to work. Let us be peaceful. Let us not be violent. Let us not talk at each other. Let's try to love one another. We have a beautiful country. We have no other country to run to. Let us not ban our country because of disagreements on issues. And I know as long as we keep on talking to each other, this country is going to places. As Deputy President and Principal Assistant to President William Ruto, again, I want to affirm to the people of Kenya that I will continue helping the President to discharge his duties in the management of the affairs of this country. I'll continue giving him proper and sound advice based on honesty and truth, because I'm the only Kenyan who who took the Bible in Kasarani and swore before God and before man to advise President William Ruto. Many people have been very unhappy with me for saying things that are truthful, to a point of trying to isolate me because they didn't want me to say the truth. But I'll keep on saying the truth. I'll keep on being truthful and honest, because that is what the people of Kenya expect me to do.
And following the passage of the bill, the country witnessed widespread expression of dissatisfaction with the bill as passed, regrettably resulting in the loss of life, destruction of property, and desecration of constitutional institutions. On my own behalf, and on behalf of these members and many other Kenyans, I send my condolences to the families of those who lost their loved ones in this very unfortunate manner. Consequently, having reflected on the continuing conversation around the content of the Finance Bill 2024, and listening keenly to the people of Kenya who have said loudly that they want nothing to do with this Finance Bill 2024, I concede, and therefore I will not sign the 2024 Finance Bill, and it shall subsequently be withdrawn, and I have agreed with these members that that becomes our collective position. Accordingly, there is need for us as a nation to pick up from here and go into the future. And I am therefore proposing that because we have gotten rid of the Finance Bill 2024, it is necessary for us to have a conversation as a nation going forward. How do we manage the affairs of the country together? How do we manage our debt situation together? How do we work on the budget with the deficits that now exist together? And as I committed last Sunday, I will be proposing an engagement with the young people of our nation, our sons and daughters, for us to listen to them. As I said on Sunday, listen to their views, listen to their proposals, their ideas, their concerns, and what they think we should do better as we go forward. I am also recommending a multi-sectoral, bipartisan, multi-stakeholder engagement from civil society, religious organizations, professional bodies, for us as a nation to speak to the future of our country, again, together. And this will be on matters that are contained in the bill and matters that the people of Kenya have canvassed in the conversation that has been going on. In this regard as well, I am directing for immediate further austerity measures to reduce expenditure, starting with the Office of the President, the entire presidency, and extending to the entire executive arm of government. Operational expenditure in the presidency be reduced to remove allocations for the confidential fort, reduce travel, hospitality, purchase of motor vehicles, renovations, and other expenditures. This will cover the entire presidency and also the executive arm of government. I also propose that equally, Parliament, the judiciary, and county governments working with the National Treasury, also undertake budget cuts and austerity to ensure that we do live within our means, respecting the very loud message that is coming from the people of Kenya. And let me confirm that I have discussed with many stakeholders. I will be meeting some of them shortly after this meeting on charting a way forward that makes sure that we carry the whole nation in this very important journey as we go into the future as a country. Let me also confirm that as we deal with austerity, the loud message on dealing firmly, decisively, and expeditiously with corruption is a matter that we have discussed and we have agreed that it will take the front banner as we go into the future. We will continue to do this and carry out this very important conversation. And I want to remind us that we should proceed within the foundational principles upon which our nation is founded, namely constitutionalism, adherence to the rule of law, and respect for constitutional institutions. We must continue to operate within the parameters of the law. I thank you. I will take a few questions, 3 questions to be specific.
Thank you, Your Excellency. And the first question will start with Elizabeth Mutuku from TV47.
Good evening. My question is on young leaders from the Gen Z generation who were abducted yesterday and the day before yesterday. What happens to that? Second, there were young people who were killed during the demonstrations. What do you speak of that as the head of state? Thirdly, how do we move forward on the budget cuts, especially now that you've said that we're going to have austerity measures, yes, but how then do we secure development?
Thank you very much. Please. No, it's okay. So I have said young people, 6 to be exact, 6 people yesterday lost their lives. Very unfortunately, they shouldn't have lost their lives. And I have said it is a very unfortunate situation. I wish that would not have happened. And there is a framework that will make sure that those 6 Kenyans who died yesterday will be accounted for. Number 2, I did promise the country that there will be no extrajudicial killings going forward. And ever since I came into office, there is not one incident of extrajudicial killing. What you said about abduction are statements that were attributed to some of our civil society groups, but all the people they mentioned have since been found in police custody, and those that were already processed were already released. On the matter of development that you have said, minus the finance bill, it means that some of the development programs amounting to 200 billion shillings, we will have to cut down, to delay them. They will have to wait, some of them, for next year. We will try it again. We will try next year to find some money. Some of them we will have to cancel because that's the nature of things. And it is because the people of Kenya have spoken loudly that they want a leaner budget for us as a country. Question number 2.
We'll take the next question from Busara, K24.
Naam, swali langu la kwanza ni wazi kwamba matumaini ya vijana wa Gen Z na baadhi ya Wakenya kwa wabunge yamepungua kabisa ama hata yamepotea. Kwa hivyo kama rais unachukua hatua gani kuhakikisha kwamba tunawahusisha vijana katika maamuzi muhimu hasa katika masuala ambayo yanalenga taifa ama ujenzi wa taifa? Swali lingine, je, utahakikisha vipi uwazi katika mpango wako wa kupunguza matumizi serikalini? Maana umesema kwamba kuna austerity measures. Je, kutakuwa na transparency? Na swali la mwisho, ningependa kujua kama pengine kutakuwa na fidia kwa wale ambao walifariki ama kwa familia kwa wale ambao walifariki hapo jana, na je, serikali itasimamia malipo ya wale ambao hospitalini hivi sasa wanapokea matibabu kutokana na majeraha waliopata hapo jana? Asante.
Thank you very much. About 214 Kenyans were involved in various skirmishes, and many of them went to hospital. 95 of them were treated and released. Some of them, I think one is still in ICU, and others, I think 14, the minister is here, are still in hospital. But majority of them were treated and released yesterday. As I have told you, on those who lost their lives, there will be a mechanism of how they will be accounted for. On the young people whom you have said, how do we listen to them? Let me say the following. Number one, I did make a very clear, determined program to create opportunities for young people to work. It was in our manifesto. It is in my plan. As I talk to you, 3 of the programs are going on. The housing program today has 160,000 young people working as engineers, as architects, as quantity surveyors, plumbers, masons, carpenters, artisans, transporters, accountants. We have 160,000 young people working because I did take the decision that if we don't deal with millions of young people out of school, out of college, who have certificates and they don't have jobs, they will soon become a very big challenge for us as a country, as we are witnessing at the moment. All the young people you see, they are looking for opportunity. They are looking for jobs. And that is why our housing program, once it is fully rolled out, we will have a minimum of 500,000 young people working in our housing program. Number 2, I have been very clear on making sure that additional to our housing program is our digital infrastructure, the digital superhighway, the digital hubs, and the whole ecosystem of what we are doing in creating digital jobs. I was in Ruto with Honorable Kingara, who's right there, not more than a month and a half ago, launching a hub that will hire 4,500 young people under CCI. In this budget, we had added 10 billion shillings to CDF for them to be able to construct ICT hubs in each ward in the Republic of Kenya. That would give opportunities for 200 to 300 young people in every ward to access internet, to be trained, to have a hub, and to monetize their digital skills. We will still find another way of implementing this plan, even if we have to cut back on CDF, if that is what is going to happen. Again, because we believe that young people deserve opportunity. As I talk to you, we've just concluded 3 bilateral agreements, one of them with Germany, on export of labor, because we have negotiated with many countries who are interested in the high skills of Kenyan labor. And we have an ecosystem. We now have a plan on how we are going to make sure that the young people in Kenya get opportunities to work either in Kenya or outside Kenya. In fact, just last week, I saw on the headlines of one of the dailies, there was a gentleman from my village. He was put on the headline. And he said he operated from where I used to operate, selling chicken. That's why they put him in the headline. And his complaint was, you see, the president has not done well because in this village, many people are going to look for jobs outside Kenya. That gentleman did not know that those people in our village that have gone to Saudi Arabia or UAE, I am the one who supported the program for them to go as part of the export of labor. So he thought that those people were going away because there were no jobs in Kenya. But it is part of this plan I have kept on talking about, because I think it was called Misoy or somebody. If you go and check the headline, I think of last week, Thursday or Friday, he was there. He didn't know, the good young man, that I think we have almost 500 or 400 and something people around that village that have actually gotten jobs outside Kenya. And they are changing that village. And that is actually an admission by that gentleman that our plan on export of labor is working. And number two, that when we committed ourselves to making sure that we create opportunities for young people to work, we meant it. So we have a program on housing, we have a program on digital jobs, we have a program on export of labor, we have a program on the whole manufacturing sector. Let me give you another example. Now I'm talking this as a leader. We deliberately, last year, said we cannot continue to import products that we can manufacture in Kenya. One of them was clinker, cement, furniture, steel. What has happened the last 1 year? Very many, in fact 5 to be specific, companies have sought licenses in Kenya to do clinker, to do cement. And last year, because of what we did, we reduced the import of clinker by 95%. We saved foreign exchange, we created jobs locally. I was in West Pokot with my Minister for Industrialization. I'm sure the members of West Pokot, they are here. They were there with me in West Pokot, opening a clinker factory that now hires 2,500 young Kenyans, with another almost 2,000 as drivers, support staff, a big market now in West Pokot. Expanding manufacturing in Kenya is the right thing. And it is the reason why some of our policy interventions on matters like imported stuff that are being manufactured in Kenya. For example, we have said substandard, low quality imported sanitary pads from China and other places. How can they come into Kenya when we have 10 companies in Kenya hiring Kenyan young people? How can they come and compete here? All the products that we are manufacturing locally, we must protect our local industries so that they create jobs locally, so that they create opportunities locally. In this finance bill, you will also see that we have imposed duty on potatoes from Europe. Surely, How can we continue importing potatoes from Europe? And we have farmers right here in Kirinyaga. We have farmers right here in Nyandarua, in Molo, in Timau. How can we justify? How can anybody take offense that we have imposed duty on imported potatoes? We have put duty on imported eggs, on imported onions, because we must protect our local farmers. Every country does that. Every country does that. I was negotiating with the Prime Minister of India because they are imposing duty on our avocados. I was in Korea negotiating with the government of Korea because they are imposing duty on our tea, on our coffee, and on our macadamia, including our avocados. Every country does that to protect their market, unless there is a mutual agreement. So these are amongst the things we are doing to make sure that we grow our local manufacturing, create local jobs, create local wealth. That is how we are going to move forward as a country. We cannot continue to be a supermarket for other people's factories. It is important that we also produce our own products. Our young people can produce products in Kenya which are of high quality, which are of international standard, and we can do that. So I just wanted to clarify this point because it is addressing the young people of our country. And I am looking forward to a conversation with my sons and daughters, the young people of this nation, to explain to them the opportunities that they have, and I want to listen to them. What additionally do they want me to do? What can we do better? And how can we move the country forward together?